Hey, good morning, and it's Monday, and we're looking at something. Now, this is kind of a review because I've had this for a while, and we did a show about it a while back, about a year ago, year and a half. But the thing was, I've upgraded this a little bit, learned a few new tricks with it, and I thought we should come back to it because it's still something that if you have a 3D printing farm, for one thing, but even if you're just a hobbyist, you're going to end up with little spools that are, oh, it's just not enough on there for maybe the next item. And the best thing to do is to splice them together and make one big spool, And sometimes I have 3 or 4 of these spools like this that are really low, but if I put them all together, I can put them on the machine, run it, walk away, let the machine do its thing, and when I come back, I've got the product or something. And again, I'm always, so there's no waste. I mean, I'm not throwing, partial spools away or something. I'm always using up every inch of my filament that I get in. So I wanted to cover this today because there's some different kits out there. This is the one I went with, and so far I can honestly say I'm not only happy with it, but it totally paid for itself. In like the first time we had to splice some spools together, it was like, whoa, wow. Okay, we're back. Yeah, there's a number of splice kits out there on the market, and in fact, I'll show you the one at Amazon that's really the dirt cheap one that some people say, oh yeah, just spend $8 and buy that silly thing. I looked at it, watched the demonstrations on it, and really did not like what I saw. Was not happy with it, and I thought I'd really like to have a splicing kit that's better than that. Now, there's a new one. I'll show you the splicing kit for that, and yeah, that one looks pretty interesting, but you have these little tubes that come with it, and you have to scrap and basically cut the tube and throw it away afterwards. So every time you splice, you're using one of these little tubes, and I thought, I really don't care for that either. It's probably a good system. Also, it costs more, of course. This one has come down. I paid around, I think it was $47 at the time. Right now they're around $30, I think the $33, $34 range. So they've come down about at least $10 or more dollars. So it's a lot cheaper kit now than what it used to be, which, kind of makes it a little more attractive. As soon as we started using this in the very first week, like I said, I was able to get all the smaller spools than even this, where it was just a little bit left over from each spool, which I had been saving up, gathered them all up, splice, made a nice roll. That made actually over $60 worth of product for me, so it was like, wow, Oh, also, before I forget, I'll provide links in the description below for all 3 of those. This is on sale. I found it on sale right now for, I think it was $29 at Amazon, so that's way better than what I paid $20 more than that, I think. But it did save money, so I'm happy with that. This is off of Thingiverse, and it's not a perfect system, but it works for what we need here. Also, is this you can find this on Thingiverse too. It's not great, but it does the trick. In fact, generally what I do is I'll look at my spools, and the bigger spool, I'll load it on this end, and then we will get the splicing together here so we can heat it up and do it. Now, the splicing time, that is a big problem. I've run 2.5 minutes, and sometimes that's not really enough. And I've tried 3 minutes, and it's like, that's too much, so we might be down. And the other thing you got to be aware when you do this is make sure this is going to be on the bottom. Yeah, this way when you do this, because you want to feed off the bottom and off the bottom here when you transfer everything over. So yeah, lots of fun. This is actually a pretty cool little print in itself. I've seen some other ones on there, but I don't remember who did this a couple years ago. I think they've had it on there for quite a few years actually, but whoever did this did a pretty cool job, because it allows you to roll up the spool afterwards, and let's face it, that could be a lot of work in itself. The other thing we're going to need, of course, is a nice pair of snippers, usual. And it also comes with a little bit of these little sanding discs, and they're kind of like, I kind of wish they'd given you something a little more than that, but I have always been a little worried about the sanding, the sandpaper, the grit in here getting loose, getting into the filament and ending up in the machine, block the nozzle, all the usual stuff that might go wrong. the timer for me is kind of critical because, like I said, the 2.5 doesn't seem to quite get it, and the 3 is too much. So, and what happens too is when you go to release off of this, a lot of times I find it sticks to the top here. It's a real tight grip for some reason. But first thing we're going to do is grab this, and we're just going to make a nice blunt straight across, not a 45, just a straight across blunt cut like that. Generally, I try to straighten the filament out a little bit too, because yeah, I'm going to be going across, halfway across the heater, which is the little dot you've got in the middle here, and clamping that, and then I put it in these slots. That way it's controlled and it's held. And the other one is going to be the same thing. We're just going to, again, find the bottom, which is obviously this is the bottom right here. And I'm going to try to do this backwards because usually I'm working in front of the machine, not from behind the machine. And again, nice, you know, real straight cut across kind of thing. Nice blunt cut as opposed to 45s. 45s would be cool if you could, I guess, line the 45s up and sort of slip the two together. That would be, you know, that would be pretty neat. Now, how they have this done is you actually load it from one side here like this, find the hole, yeah, and then push it through till it kind of stops. And then I push the two ends together a little bit. So that's loaded, that's ready to go. Now, again, we still need the power over here. Now that I've got power at the bench, I got the plug plugged in. I'm gonna hit this little switch. Little blue light's gonna come on. This is gonna heat up. So the next thing we need is to start this little, I got this little freebie, little timer here. And we're gonna set it for 2 minutes and, heck, clear that off. Just let's go 3 minutes. But before the 3 minutes is up, I'm gonna pull it because, like I said, somewhere around 245, I don't know. And it depends on the temperature, obviously, of the garage or whatever you're in. Because in this case, it's cold in here today, so the whole 3 minutes might be needed, I don't know. But, so it's a little unscientific that way. But now for the next 2.5 minutes, we're cooking. Okay, we've been running 2.5, a little over 2 minutes, 45 seconds. And now the next secret part here, shut the power off. And now we just let it cool. That's it, we're done. Sometimes I do this little business, just sort of, again, just give them a little push together sort of thing, make sure we got a good connection. Shut the power off here. And they say to leave it for 5 minutes. So what I generally do is I will put the timer on for, you know, 5 minutes and start the timer. But reality is just let it get cold, you know. So if you're more than 5 minutes, it's even better. And we'll see how this comes apart, because I have had a little bit of issue with the sticking at the top there. And this is, you can still feel the heat just pouring off that little heater. But hopefully we've got a good connection. We can put all this on that. And we have a bigger spool. Generally, this is kind of weird. When I do this, usually I have like 3 or 4 or even 5 spools that are really small. I really don't have that today, but I wanted to do this for y'all just to show you, you know, you can splice this stuff together and it will make life so much easier. Now, be warned, there is one other caveat I ran into, and only one of my machines does it. I can't even remember which one it is. But a lot of times it's a little bit thin right where you've connected these and you've, you know, sanded them and sort of thing. And that little thin part sometimes will actually trip the runout sensor for the filament. Yeah, and it's not really, you know, it's like it happens sometimes. It's only the one machine, and generally when it does that, I usually catch it and just like, you know, resume, bink, yes, and just keep going because you really didn't run out of filament kind of thing. Okay, 5 minutes of cool down and then we'll come back. Okay, the timer actually ran out a little bit ago. I can shut this off. I guess I don't need it anymore for the moment, at least. But that's a handy little item. And so what I've done is I've let this sit and sit because I can still feel quite a bit of heat in the element here, even though after 5 minutes. That's why I say you're probably better off to let it sit for, you know, 10 minutes or something. And here's where the problem is going to be. I'll open this up and just see what we got. To see how it sticks to the top. It's probably the only thing I don't like, but we get it out of there carefully. And we've got a little bit of messy spot right here, a little rough. And you don't want that obviously going through your machine, so that's where I take 2 of these little sandpapers, put one on each side, put my fingers over top, and I start running this back and forth to try to clean this up and get this all, you know, nice and nice and straight, because this is going to have to go, you know yourself, it's got to go through a machine, through the extruder, and you don't want, obviously you do not want that hanging up in there. Now the little kink I've got right here that's showing is actually this right here on this end. And that was one of the things it was doing. Is one of the reasons I put this on here was to help support that, so it wouldn't kink quite so bad. But we'll just sort of run this back and forth a little bit. It doesn't take much. It's actually feeling pretty good right there right now. Yeah, see, that's just, I'm just taking that kink out. And then if you can see that against the white or something, it's fairly extruded, and I'm pulling, and it's nice and smooth now. So now the next part, this is going to be a little awkward because I'm backwards or whatever today, but just sort of hand guide it and just start running all of it up onto the off the one reel to the other, and you'll be surprised if you have 4 or 5 small rolls. All of a sudden you can make a really decent, good sized roll out of all this. So it's pretty good. And we'll roll all this up onto one spool, and I might even cut and go to the end of this show here. Because I'm not good at doing this backwards. I'm on the wrong side of the machine. Usually I'm in front of the machine, of course, but I want you guys to see everything going on, so I'll sort of like stand back here and try to do it backwards. It's working. And we're sort of getting it. I just sort of feed it back and forth. Yep. We're really tight on here today for some reason, but I don't know what's going on with that. Yeah. Anyway, the machines are, you know, as much as we talk about the 1.75 millimeter thickness of the filament, you'd be surprised. You know, you can get a little bit of fatness through there, and it's not going to, you know, it's not going to cause a huge problem with the 3D printer or whatever. But generally, they seem to be pretty forgiving over that sort of thing with the size. So it's not as critical as they like to. The industry seems to think it's pretty critical. It's like, I don't think it is all that much. I have never had anything jam that way in this extruder. And this splicer has been, I've used it over and over and over again now. So like I said, it's really been a great little help around the 3D print farm. It's actually kind of almost a money maker, because you can capture all the small spools that you might think about throwing away because they're too much of a, you know, headache, because you've only got, you know, a little bit left or something. It's like, no, this is fantastic. And let's see if I can't get this other side gathered up a little bit. Would be nice. Yeah, there we go. Yeah. Well, it's looking good. We're almost done. We've almost completely transferred all that to the other spool. There we go. And there she is. And we'll tie her up. There we are. And let's take a look at that. And you can see that's almost a half a spool now. So that's pretty good. I can put that on a job now and put a big job on it and not worry about running out of filament in the middle of the job or something. So it's that is convenient. That is fantastic. All that out. Okay, so good enough. Now, what I do is I put this on a board and just take that and throw it away. We're done. I don't keep my cardboard spools. I've been thinking about keeping my plastic spools because, I mean, it does seem to be kind of a waste. And for that, I've been thinking about buying some of the loose ones that are not spooled. You can get them a little bit cheaper theoretically, and use again something like this to take the loose stuff and actually put it on a spool, a plastic spool. Now, I guess you could use a cardboard one. It really wouldn't matter. The only other problem I do have is certain size plastic spools, whatever. You need different washers to fit the different spools. These washers are specific to this size of, you know, cardboard spool with a hole in it. Well, it doesn't always work. So yeah, it's just one of those things. It's a thing, yeah. But look at that. I think that's fantastic. You can feel the weight and everything. It's like, that is a nice fatty spool of yeah, filament ready to go again. Yes. Okay, I put everything away. As I said earlier, I mounted everything on just a junk piece of board, and I can put this up on the shelf now and put it away. And then next time I need to, you know, splice a few spools together, just pull it out like a tool kit and just go to town and have do some splicing. Yeah. In the meantime, I'm gonna get out of here. And thank you for watching Coffee and Tools. Please like, share, subscribe, ring the notice bell. Over and out. Dee, 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 dee.